Oh, there she is.
I'm not starting over.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, yeah, well, welcome again, everybody, now that the recording is on. So, several new fair initiatives are coming at the end of February 2022 in order to somewhat soften the blow of the return to peak fares on the commuter railroads. Obviously, that's not an issue for subway and buses, but there are some incentives on those as well. So, commuter railroads will be getting a new 20-trip ticket, which will be available on eTix, and which will give you 60 days to complete those 20 trips for those commuters that are not coming in 5 days a week or on a calendar month, for instance. This 20-trip ticket, similar to what New Jersey Transit is offering with their Flex Pass, is going to be, I think, a pretty big seller. It will give a 20% discount over the single trip rates, and further, to encourage commuter rail riders to use a monthly ticket, there will be a further discount on the cost of a monthly, a further 10% discount. Commissioner Zuckerman was adamant about having the monthly still be the best deal, and he was listened to. And so now even the monthly will be 10% lower than it had been as peak fares return. So riders of Metro-North and Long Island Railroad will have a variety of fares to choose from as we hope commutation somewhat returns to normal in the spring. Yes, Sharon?
What were his principal arguments for the monthly?
His, meaning Commissioner Zuckerman?
Yeah.
His arguments were people who buy the most expensive fare should be getting the best deal because they're paying the most. And nobody disagreed with that. It was already discounted over the single fares, obviously, for a monthly. A monthly, keep in mind, is also unlimited usage. So it's a really good deal to begin with anyway. But now it will be even better deal with a 10% further discount over what the discount had been. So in addition to those deals, we also have City Ticket, which we started a long time ago, which had only been available on weekends, will now be available to all off-peak times of the day and week, and weekends, days, whatever. So, as long as you're not using Metro-North or Long Island Railroad within the boroughs, in peak hours, you can use it for a $5 trip, which is great. We had obviously preferred the full Freedom Ticket idea, which would have been peak, off-peak, and with a transfer to subways and buses if you bought a weekly. We have talked to the chairman and to Sarah Meyer about this, and this, well, let me just say that these are tests. These are pilots. The 20-tripper for commuter rail, the 10% further discount for monthlies, City Ticket off-peak, and the Omni fare capping. These are all going to be pilots in the 4 to 6 month range. They can be extended, but they will be looked at. And the fare strategy group that I have been a part of, it was announced yesterday, will continue and will be looking at the status of each of these fare types and how they're doing, if it's bringing riders back, if it's filling seats. And so we expect that City Ticket will be successful. We have been told that it could be a precursor to the full Freedom Ticket. It may be called City Ticket at that point, but Sarah told me she's not stuck in that name either. But if it's successful, and we hope it will be, and we think it should be, it could be just the precursor of what we're all hoping will be a really great way to serve neighborhoods that are not subway, don't have subways, but have this wonderful rail infrastructure running through them, but it's really priced out of the reach of many of those neighborhood residents. Plus, we of course now have Penn Access coming, which will mean 4 new stations in the East Bronx, 3 of which are far from subways, and which would be perfect candidates for City Ticket or Freedom Ticket, whatever you'd like to call it. Stuart?
Do you think the reluctance to give you the full span, even during peak times, is because they're afraid of capacity issues?
Yes, I think capacity issues are one of the overriding things.
Well, I think that was voiced by, some of the members of the committee, probably. I would imagine it was voiced.
It was voiced by Mark Young as well.
By Mark Young as well.
Even though we're not back to where we were pre-COVID, they still are reluctant to make it a broader
Yes.
approach? Okay.
But we were also assured that Atlantic Ticket will continue.
Does this mean that Freedom Ticket, which we've announced and everything, doesn't right now exist, that it is just this city ticket thing?
No, it will continue to exist as Atlantic Ticket for Southeast Queens stations, as well as Jamaica, East New York, Nostrand Avenue, and Atlantic.
Oh. So it's Atlantic Ticket, but it's only for those few stations.
Yeah.
But does City's Ticket also work at those stations if you do it, if
Yes.
you use it, if you use the whole thing with the off-peak and the peak and all the rest? Because if I'm confused, I can imagine how the public, I don't have to imagine. I've gotten a number of calls about this already since it was announced. Was it announced yesterday or the day before yesterday, whatever?
Yeah. So I had that discussion of messaging and how these will be advertised with Sarah Meyer, the Chief Customer Officer. And she said, yes, we have to make it very clear, Atlantic Ticket is continuing with all of its benefits. City Ticket will be for even more stations, but it will only be off-peak periods. And the weekly option with transfers to subway and buses is not available on City Ticket.
No, but Andrew, what I am asking is if the Atlantic Ticket, the Freedom Ticket, whatever it's called, the not City Ticket, whether the stations that are on that will also be eligible for, are also considered City Ticket if people use those.
Yes, and Trudy, the benefit there is that City Ticket will be available on e-tick. So if somebody's traveling from any station within the 5 boroughs on commuter rail, off-peak, they'll be able to buy their commuter rail ticket, City Ticket, off-peak on e-tick.
So that includes the Atlantic Ticket stations?
Correct, but if they're traveling during peak times or want a weekly ticket, they still need to go to a ticket vending machine or to a window. And this is,
And that would be Atlantic.
That's Atlantic Ticket, and we had a long conversation yesterday, indeed, about our issues and concerns, and our pledge to work with the MTA and to support what's out there, but that there needs to be additional messaging and information, really broad clarification of the information so that people understand it, because we were really confused yesterday, too.
Yeah, Lisa, I think your key word there is clarification, and if they don't do it soon, when it goes into effect, because people are already saying peak, off-peak, they get charged peak anyway. I mean, I've heard so much of this because all I do, because I can't go any places, that I just get phone calls and texts and emails. And as I said, if I'm confused, I can imagine how a lot of other people feel.
Sarah Meyer said she would work with us on messaging. Right now, Atlantic Ticket is good at 10 stations within the boroughs.
Andrew, I've got it. What I'm saying is for the riders, for the customers, whatever you call them. And listen, because if she needs help, this is what I did for many years and still do. Call it messaging, calling communications, whatever. And I will be happy to assist because I feel kind of useless while I'm stuck with my leg up on pillows and everything.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm making that offer.
Thank you, Trudy.
Okay.
One other
I'm not done with my FAIR initiatives, but yes,
One
Stuart.
other clarification. Are the definitions of peak and off-peak the same for Metro North and Long Island Railroad? They are?
Sure.
Yes, including half.
Okay.
Because they're not, they're the same hours they've been the same hours on the train. But, for example, if you're traveling at 9 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning from Grand Central to Stamford on Metro North, you get charged peak. If you're traveling at 8:30 in the morning from Penn Station to Ronkonkoma, that's considered off-peak.
Actually,
So,
That's what.
this is my recollection that there was a difference, so,
but
But the hours are the
could,
same.
trying to interpolate what was said,
Yes.
that could be where people feel they were deceived.
No, I think messaging is very important, and we've made that very clear to
Okay.
Sarah, and Bradley, did you want to say something?
just so you know, the other day when we went to the
You can
Bronx
take that off while
event,
you talk.
when we went to the Bronx event from, Grand Central to, on one of the Stanford trains, we got charged off-peak.
It's because it's still off-peak.
It hadn't started yet.
It's after the meeting. It's
You
only
should be
off-peak.
charged off-peak.
Okay.
But,
It's off-peak until, February 25th or March 1st.
Got it.
but
Thank you.
just so everyone knows, the half fare price stays where it is, because on the MTA.info, when we deal with this Long Island Railroad thing, because I was going between peak and off-peak in the border, they said, no, your half fare stays where it is, so I'm going, okay.
Okay, so the last of the new fare initiatives, and one that pretty much everybody knew was coming, was fare capping, utilizing the Omni card.
Who is driving their car?
Somebody
Somebody is
Somebody
calling
got traffic.
user 2.
Oh.
Who is calling user number 2, please?
calling user one and calling
No,
two.
we're calling,
Anyway, fare capping means, everybody can use Omni, and as many rides as you buy, once you have spent $33 and you are still between, Monday and the following Sunday, all your rides above what you've just paid for are free. So, it's like you bought a weekly and you didn't even have to lay out all the money for a weekly in the beginning of the week. So, I expect that the Omni, and hopefully Omni is made really available. The machines are out. I know that there's a space issue in many stations, so they'll be removing some MetroCard machines and installing Omni card machines. I know that there are some drugstores and places you can get them.
And
but-
cash in stores.
Yeah, but I think Omni is going to be a big seller. Unfortunately, Omni will not be available for the commuter rails until 2023. So there will be that year or a little over a year when you still have different fare payment types. But I think fare capping is going to be great. It's a great equalizer. Everybody gets the advantage of a weekly ticket. I'd like to see them even make it, if you use it even more, have a monthly issue. But right now, we're not pressing it. So these are the three or four that I mentioned. Anyway, these are the fare initiatives that are going to take place at the end of February. Some are Feb 25, some are Feb 28, as peak fares return on the commuter rails. We hope this brings riders back. We hope we're also in a better time period, coronavirus-wise, pandemic-wise, so that riders return and employers wish their employees to return, because we want to see that happen. And one of the things I did mention during that speech was Penn Access. That deal was signed with Amtrak a few days ago, and this is a very exciting development. This will allow trains on the New Haven line of Metro North, and interestingly, while right now those trains originate at either New Haven or Stamford, they are, as part of this deal, they are building a new yard in New Rochelle. And so this prompted me to ask, of course, with my inquiring mind, does that imply that there will be some trains that will end there, only in New Rochelle? That's why you would build a yard there. You wouldn't build a yard there when you have a giant yard at Stamford and New Haven. And they said, we're looking at all different types of service plans, and there could be just like an East Bronx local train that does go from New Rochelle, Co-op City.
Yeah, when you have the new station.
Yeah, Morris Park, Parkchester, Van Ness, Hunts Point, and then on to Penn Station. Yes.
So I just wanted to say, we were invited to the press conference where the announcement was made with Senator Schumer and, with Amtrak and the MTA, and it was really very joyful and exciting to be part of that announcement. Basically, they're each putting in $500 million and giving it to each other, give or take, tens of millions of dollars, to make these projects happen. But he got them to the table and was able to broker the agreement so that the East River tunnels will also be done
Yeah, that's very
and that
important.
regional rail and regional rail riders will be able to continue to travel throughout the region.
Right. And what in essence they're going to be doing is making a 2-track line, which is what the Amtrak route through the Bronx is, a 4-track line, which will mean some work outages, and they had to arrive at agreements with Amtrak on when those work outages would be, because the Northeast Corridor trains are frequent, and this all has to be planned. So that's all very exciting. I have a question.
In the back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. X.
Mr. X.
Actually, I've got two for me. Okay, one's regarding pen access. Is there any particular reason why?
Hold on, I'm going to take the mic closer to you.
Is there any particular reason why the 2, 5, and 6 trains can't cover the Metro Railroad route? Since those stations would be in my bowl, which in addition to Staten Island, which became Gilligan's Island from Hurricane Sandy, is a, is there any reason why they didn't recommend 2, 5, and 6 trains to cover that route? Since it being my bowl, which I said is forgotten bowl, why needed a railroad train to cover that route when you got the 2, 5, and 6 trains in the east side, east from Webster Avenue, east from 3rd Avenue, which is cheaper, but now we start to pay more. Yes, it's good that it is fine to start to put the line in my borough, but you got the 2, 5, and 6 trains. Why couldn't they bring them out there? And also regarding,
Can I answer that?
Okay.
Or actually, with a question. If they were to, for instance, do what you just suggested and put the 2 trains on the Amtrak route or on that route.
My borough.
Yeah, we're talking the Bronx. If they were to put the White Plains Road 2 line, which is what it is, on the Amtrak tracks, what would serve White Plains Road then?
They were saying they can provide additional service. 2, 5, and 6 trains can provide additional service.
Well, this makes the Bronx really covered for transportation. I mean,
And the tracks already go there.
the
right?
tracks are already there.
They're
Amtrak uses
building-
them now.
Got a right of way all these places.
And this allows Metro North, well, this allows East Bronx people who actually commute to work in New Rochelle or Stamford. Stamford is a huge employment center, to go right from the Bronx there.
In the future, they should consider bringing the 2, 5, and 6 trains.
Also, let me just answer you further, that the tracks we're talking about, the Amtrak tracks, use catenary, use overhead wiring, and the subways use the 3rd rail. So those trains would not have been able to run on those tracks.
Okay, another question for you. Regarding.
If you think of it, just put your hand up again. Okay. So, pen access is great. Obviously, it's not coming for at least 5 years, I think, is when the
I think 4 and
a half to 5, or,
something like
yeah, I mean, that would be wonderful if it could be. And a lot of Bronx news actually this week. There was obviously the pen access approval, which is now going to go ahead. There is the approval yesterday of the Bronx bus redesign, which listened to the public, because I was at some of those hearings, and there were some route change recommendations that would have required a lot of extra walking and up steep hills. The Bronx has the topography of a very hilly borough, and they listened and they didn't do that. At first they were talking about eliminating many stops, and they listened to the public and they cut that back. How many stops would be eliminated? It will still speed up the buses, but at least it's still making the bus routes usable for a lot of folks, and especially those that have, obviously, accessibility issues, and you don't want to have to make them walk 4, 5, 6 blocks. So, I think, Marisol, feel free to weigh in if you'd like, but I think what happened yesterday as far as the Bronx bus redesign, I think the public came and spoke, and they were pretty happy with a lot of it.
You know, at the meeting yesterday, the borough president said it. One of the things that did happen with the bus redesign, there was a lot of communication, there was a lot of input, and as you mentioned, MTA and has, sat down and actually looked at each of the concerns and addressed it as best as they can. We're very happy with that. There were several meetings that were held with different stakeholders to try to get to a resolution on a lot of the bus routes. So we were very happy with that. And again, I'm glad that the community got what they asked for. I know they didn't get everything 100%, but we're definitely pleased with the interaction that existed on this project.
And one of the things we had asked for, and at the public hearings, Bronx residents had asked for, was direct bus access to LaGuardia Airport, as a lot of Bronx people work at LaGuardia, and others need to travel from LaGuardia. And while that did not happen in this round, we have been led to believe that in the Queens bus redesign, which is upcoming, that route will be considered. And we hope it will be, because we think that will fill a real void and will get people on mass transit to the airports and less driving in and around the airport. Obviously, we're still talking about a better air train route to the airport, whether it's an extension of the NW line at Astoria, or whether it's an air train from Woodside, which serves all branches of the Long Island Railroad, or something. It will all be better than what was conceived from Metz Willis Point, where you have to slide way out of your...
So just to add, one of the things that they did advise us is those routes that are connecting to other boroughs, they were going to look to see how they can improve that as well. So as someone that had to go to a High Ridge event the other day, I definitely appreciate the time that they took to address the issues of buses over there. I almost walked a mile, but those people have to be the healthiest people that I know. But one of the things that they did assure us was that they were going to look at other connecting routes to see how they can continue to improve the bus service into and out of the borough. So I appreciate that.
We have Q44 and that, but we need more.
And the Q.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You thought of it?
Two more questions.
Wait. Okay. Go ahead.
On Omni, are we required to use that card?
MetroCard is going to be phased out in 2023, so by then you will be forced to use Omni, yes.
Not the card, though, it could be a phone or a...
It could be a phone, yeah.
Also, regarding LaGuardia Airport service from my borough, which is down like Staten Island, Gilligan Valley, is there any particular reason why the powers that be, particularly Harrison Ford, can't have a bus originating at Yankee Stadium, by the Yankee Stadium, which are fully road accessible, travel on the Deegan Expressway, on the Tri-Road Bridge, then on the Greenwich Parkway to that airport. Let's make a stop at Astoria Avenue, which is renamed Astoria Boulevard. I mean, is there any particular why none of the MTA executive directors between LAP and Lieber didn't consider doing that? Because that's just common sense.
My guess would be if you had a bus that originated at Yankee Stadium and then went on the Major Deegan over the RFK Bridge and on the Grand Central to the airport, you'd only be serving people in the area up there. It's like an express run.
I'm saying
you wanted to make some stops and pick up people.
No, that's it. It can make stops. They can make the same stops as the M60 bus once it enters Queens.
I don't know why, to be honest.
Okay, so we need to advocate for that.
We did hear that they would be looking at it during Queens redesign too, so that,
You could also argue, Mr. X, that the hub, where a lot of buses feed, would be a good place to start such a route too.
Yeah, well, I can mention it to Lieber, whether he'll listen remains a mystery.
He listens.
But
Michael, did you have your hand up? I noticed you did.
Yes, I am all for the extension.
can you, I'm just gonna ask if you can come, just speak louder.
Okay.
Raise your voice,
Yeah,
All right,
so the whole world can hear you,
okay,
and the microphone.
all right.
the whole world.
I am all for the extension of the N&W line going from Astoria to LaGuardia Airport. I am not for, the air train service at LaGuardia Airport. We already have air train service at Kennedy. And, I'm also for the, extension of the Second Avenue line, going from 96th Street up to
125.
125, and then from 125 to LaGuardia Airport, and some can go to the west side, up to Manhattanville.
Yeah, that's what a lot of elected officials are pushing for after. And actually, Phase 3 of Second Avenue is going down into Midtown. It's not going further north, but let's get through Phase 2 while we can.
Let's let Andrew get through his report, and then let's,
Well, Andrew,
Yeah.
Kate, want to say some more about bus redesign?
I didn't know.
That was her baby.
Nope.
No, I don't see.
Okay, and the
Kate,
other,
wait, hold on, Kate, do you, about bus redesign, or?
So I would just echo that what you're saying about Queens is correct, right? We had to draw a line somewhere in how we would look at the bus network. And what we decided to do was look at the bus lines coming out of the depots within a borough. That is how we run our operations. That is how we pick. That is how service is provided in the real world after we've gone through the planning exercise. And so while we did make a modest change to the Q50 because that does come out of a Bronx bus depot, the rest of the options you're discussing will be dealt with when we get to the borough that the bus route originates from. So Queens is next. We announced yesterday along with Bronx that Queens will be restarting in Q1 2022. We've updated that website and we'll be happy to share more information with the PCAC when we have it.
Can you email us that information?
we'll do that.
We'll do that.
I know.
And one
Thank
of
you.
one of the great things, I mean, it's a mixed bag. The the BX29 will no longer go all the way to Co-op City, but it will now run all night long to City Island. So I think that's a major improvement for City Island folks.
Oh, yes, they are.
Question,
Yes,
why was the route short?
the BX29?
Yes, why was it short?
Because between Pelham Bay Park and Co-op City, it frequently got caught up in a lot of traffic and it delayed the service. And there's already a fair amount of bus service on another route, and they upped the amount of buses on the other route between Pelham Bay and Co-op City to make up for it.
Just wondering.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good question.
And let's say the last big Bronx thing that happened this week was our Freedom Ticket Rally.
Freedom!
Freedom!
And we were joined by Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., by incoming Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson, several of Tony Burgos, Assembly member, and
Assemblywoman, incoming Tapia,
yeah,
Christopher D. Greif, Marisol, Halpern, by,
Marisol, who helped put it all
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if anyone's not gonna say Marisol.
Marisol is rock star of the day.
she turned them out.
Does this mean we get autographs now from Marisol?
No, that's okay. It was a great event. You guys got great weather for it too.
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't know if anybody saw Channel 7's coverage of that event.
yes,
but,
they did. I have the picture to prove it.
But Marcus Solis interviewed a lady, and he said when she takes the Metro North to Penn Station, when he meant to say Grand Central. Oh, well.
Oh, I got him.
We got an email from somebody, last evening, I got an email from somebody who lives near Metro North Station in the Bronx, who, even though they ride on a reduced fare, it's still prohibitively expensive, and they wanna know now how they can get involved in advocating for Freedom Tickets. So, we will be supportive of City Ticket and encourage people to use it as much as possible as a way to show that there is need and demand for that service, as we continue to call for Freedom Ticket.
Absolutely.
And Donovan Richards from Queens sent a letter of support, but Borough President Diaz came out yesterday as he was speaking in support of the Bronx bus redesign and ended his comments by saying, freedom for the Bronx. So,
I know.
Oh, that was funny. So when they asked him to come on, I asked him if he could say something about Freedom Ticket, and they're like, no, let him stick to topic. Okay. And so I was glad that he was able to cover everything that occurred at that.
Don't worry, Master, I got your back.
So it was good. It was very
Incoming Borough
good.
President Gibson has also said she will not let this go away. She is a big fan of it as well. So this is great.
She's on board.
let me, just go, we also got news that there will be, and I'm not gonna give you every one of them, but here's some great pieces of news about upcoming stations that are gonna be made accessible or will have their elevators, reinstalled. And one of them is as a result of the new zoning for accessibility law that, the city council passed. 57th Street on the F line,
6th Avenue, yeah.
6th Avenue,
Yeah.
the F line.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
No, because some people get confused.
Nobody's getting confused. Everyone knows where the F stops at 57th Street, and it will, now, because, a developer has asked for a zoning variance and is within a certain distance of the station, it will be made accessible thanks to that developer. So that's that wonderful, law in effect. So stations that will be made accessible, Church Avenue on the B and Q, Sheepshead Bay on the B and Q, Rockaway Boulevard on the A, Kings Highway on the B and Q, Junior Street on the 3, Marshallou Parkway on the 4.
Mashula.
Well,
Close enough.
you know, some of the trains still say Schermerhorn Street.
Or blue.
Mashula.
I say Marshallou. Anyway, Steinway Street on the M&R, Woodhaven Boulevard on the M&R, Westchester Square on the 6th, 181st Street on the A, 8th Avenue on the N, Court Square on the G, Queensboro Plaza on the 7, N, and W, Woodhaven Boulevard on the J. Elevators to be replaced at 125th Street on the A, B, C, D, 34th Street on the A, C, and E, Euclid Avenue on the A and C, 161st Street Yankee Stadium, BD4, 149th Street 3rd Avenue on the 2 and 5, and amazingly, this has been many years coming, 68th Street, Hunter College on the 6th.
I told you, Bert, I told you.
On 59th Street.
Yes.
Why not?
Well, Hunter College beat it.
6NRW, and there's no
And N.
456 NRW, and there's no N.
I know. But I'm sure it's a very complex station, and they're planning on it.
There's plenty of room there.
There's,
Where they took out the,
if you look at the capital program, every station is, with a few exceptions, some are just physically,
No, I understand.
the ones on Central Park West that are on top of each other, and there's no sidewalk room, except for 81st and 96th Street could do it. But, there's some, in the capital program, they're all dealt with, and that's another reason we need that congestion pricing to come through, so we get a really well-funded capital program.
And
But, yes,
one thing that was also they mentioned, and I was right one time a few months ago, around the beginning of the year, and I did check, they also have Woodhaven Boulevard on the J and Woodhaven on the M&R at the Queens Mall, because they did mention, because one time you said, no, I was wrong, which I was
yeah,
correct.
one time I saw Woodhaven on the J.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is on the list.
It is on the list, yeah.
So I was right, we were actually, you and I were both correct, saying that Woodhaven is definitely going to be covered, because now people can say you have another option to go to the Rockaways or go to Queens Mall.
Yeah, Mr. X.
With Line 3rd Avenue Station being the 205 train, do they plan to reopen that underpass which was closed possibly 32 school years ago? There was an underpass in that station.
149th.
3rd Avenue.
3rd Avenue, 129th Street, I know what it is.
There was an underpass at that station which permitted you to transit downtown, uptown trains. As far as I know, it closed 32 schools. It was a class of 1990. Do they plan to reopen that
I haven't
passageway?
heard. I'll ask.
Yes, please ask.
I will ask.
Because you think about it, Andrew, it might even make it easier for accessible people to don't have to go all the way to 180th to come all the way back, or Chisholm Street. It might help them out too.
I'll ask. I don't know.
It might give them advantage.
That's a good question. All right. Basically, that is it for my report. Don't see any questions. So the next item is, well, do you want to give a report, Lisa?
I feel as though I spoke at the PCAC meeting, which was last week.
That's true.
We will, by the end of the year, be updating our website, or within the first week of the year, be updating our website with, all of the meeting dates for, 2022, with Zoom links. You know, we hope to be all in person, but at this point, we're gonna continue to be virtual, hybrid.
Have you gotten pictures of everybody you need for the website?
Kara will, we can take, phone pictures of anybody who's here today for the website who wasn't able to do that. everybody looks nice. We, are, as I said, are gonna continue to advocate for freedom tickets. We are, continuing our advocacy for, and next year, we'll sort of ramp it up a little bit, even more, not just congestion pricing, but dedicated operating revenue for the MTA. Well, next year is an election year and there's no real fire at the MTA, until the following years, we can see it burning in the distance. And it's really critical that there be a fix so that we don't have a Groundhog Day, running around looking for money every year. And, if.
That's February 1st?
It's every year. No,
That's
second.
Second? That's
Yeah.
the day we're looking for money?
Yeah, no. It just repeats itself again when it's in distress. So we will, we're continuing to look with not just our partners in advocacy, but with the MTA, and others, within the state, who are supportive of, funding for transit operating money. So it's a really big deal, it's a really big issue, and there's not a really easy solution. This coming year is, an important election year. So we anticipate that conversations will begin this year and solutions will begin the following.
Yes. Acting Chair Lieber has talked about getting recurring revenue sources so that we don't have this. We're okay, it looks like through 2025, they said, but 2026 could be a humongous problem. And we can't keep lurching through these crises. We have to have, and the board members are talking about it as well, as far as getting recurring operating revenues.
Right.
Now, if we get congestion pricing, that
Not
frees
here.
up.
When?
When we get it. That frees up certain monies that go from operating into capital, and so there will be more monies resident in operating, but it still is not enough. We need these new sources.
Right, it's not enough, it's really insufficient, and one of the things that, Jano has said repeatedly is, that really strikes home for me, is that, the MTA is an essential service, and is not funded as such.
Exactly.
That other essential services get direct funding, and the MTA doesn't. It gets its funding directly from riders, and tolls, and from bonds.
And it moves those that provide those essential services.
And it moves those who provide those essential
So there's something wrong with that picture.
Right, so, there's definitely recognition that something's gotta change, and we want to help be part of the solution. The holiday train this year.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that.
Yes, please do, because why
Okay.
don't you talk about that?
Oh, you know why I'm happy, because I got an email, I'm not gonna say it, but as of right now, it is running this Sunday, 3 Sundays. It will run normally like a holiday train schedule, but it'll be the R32 train cars. So they will be running as they normally run, but we have a bonus.
Mrs. Hurst?
Excuse me, speaking of yours and cookies, don't waste it, Andrew. They're also gonna be running, Stuart, on our end of Brooklyn, on the Brighton line from 96th Street to Brighton Beach, like a Q Diamond, on January 9th. So, as I will say this, it's on the press release, and I know it's been sent out on email like crazy. Please, everyone, we do like to make sure everyone has some fun during the holiday season, but very number one thing is, please wear a mask on the train. And if you get mask force buttons, please wear them, because it does help to not just the little kids, but the adults as well.
And freedom ticket buttons.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear my freedom ticket button too, but the number one is we gotta make sure we wear masks, right, Bradley?
Yes.
And there's a mask force tomorrow.
Yes. And there's a question for new business I need to bring up to Caitlin, because I just got an email. They have question marks for team leaders.
So why don't you just have that direct conversation with her, not now?
No, I said I may have to say a new business, but then I wanted to ask her privately later,
Yeah,
because I'm in the building, I have to meet
And
someone.
they're running special retirement runs for the R32
Yeah,
fleet.
that's like that's part
We
of it.
will finally be done with the R32s as of January 9th, I think is the last date of them. There's not many in service now. I won't be sorry to see them, but,
Me neither.
and now the R46s are really starting, and I love them because they're conversational seating, but they're really starting to show their age. They really jerk start, and some people have to really hold on when they start.
We know.
And the other day, I was on an R46 that had intense lateral sway on an A train, and I reported it to Demetrius, and he's wonderful. He reported it to the Rail Control Center. They sent someone to meet the train. They rode it for a while, and they said, Mr. Albert's right, we're taking this train out of service. So those cars are also starting to show their age. We do have some R211 samples running. I haven't gotten one yet. I don't know if anybody has.
Oh, yeah.
Michael, have you?
Yeah,
No,
I have.
let me tell you something about the R36. I already said that equipment needs renewable heat on the A, C, N, Q, W, all lines. They need to be needs to be renewable.
46s aren't on the N and W.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
They are.
There's one.
When?
Since this morning, I saw one park at Whitehall Street
I
Station.
always see the newest cars on those.
I ran
Oh, Andrew.
Really? They're sharing them?
That's because
Wow.
they know that you are going to be on those long.
Thank you. I was just
I have not seen them on the, wow.
Yeah, they own them now. They own them now. They've been on them since like,
And can
2 years.
And just to back him up, I agree what you're saying about the jerkings, because let me tell you, I'm sick and tired of hearing door problems on the cab. I mentioned this every meeting, door problems. Not even the heat, but if say it was a hot day, the air conditioner on those trains were terrible as well. And I'm like, there was one day they bought an R16, and I said, oh my God, they finally love me. I finally get on one. Actually, Andrew was with me.
Paris Grant?
Yeah. He was on me, because that's when we were going, I think, to a meeting. I think we'll meet you.
Anyway, my report is done, and you're now done?
I'm done.
We can go into old business.
So it's old business.
Stewart.
At a prior meeting, I mentioned there were cleanliness issues with the R46 fleet, and miraculously, after the president was here, I saw an improvement. I happened to be on the C line going uptown and coming back downtown, and I'm seeing the cars are not being cleaned again. Yeah.
Some of them still dirty on the outside.
But I did see, just in terms of, the equipment aging, I did see, though, on some of the cars that they had put in new flooring. In some of the cars, the flooring is pretty shot, and there was some new gray flooring in some of the cars, so it was very...
Really?
Yeah. So if they are making investments, then maybe they should be looking at some of these other things.
Oh, yeah, they're not
But
ready.
they're not washing them. They were really...
Yeah, Andrew,
Oil.
you and I seen it.
But they do need some work, no doubt about it.
In the interior and the
And
exterior.
one of the issues you raised about cleaning at
Station,
stations, one of the reasons we have the speakers we have today.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But one other quick old business thing, but it's semi-new business. I happened to be in Bert's neighborhood that I don't often travel to. I haven't been on the Lexington line in a while, but there happened to be a Bronx power outage as well as a person on the tracks. So they were starting to announce this, and then the announcements. Trudy always used to talk about the clarity of announcements and the completeness of announcements. So some of them were vague. Oh, you can switch for Bronx bus service up the line. But then they got specific, and the announcements got better and told you the specific routes. So just that's an observation. But the other thing about clarity is that at 59th Street, because of this disruption, you had 6 trains running on the 4 line. But for someone who's not familiar with the station, the indicator boards that are telling you the arrows, after a while you figure it out. Oh, it's going to be on this platform, and if they point to the arrow down, it's at the lower level. But the signs aren't near stairways that you would...
This is at 86th Street or
This is at
59th Street?
I wouldn't relate the down arrow to a stairway because the signboard is not near a stairway.
Yeah.
Right. So,
It's not near anything.
right, so there happens to be...
Sue, welcome to the Lexington Avenue lines, what you experience all the time.
Right,
And
so...
59th Street and Sharon will back me up, is the biggest disaster at all because you wind up even not running because I can't run, but going up and down the escalator or the stairs because you think that you'll be able to catch a train downstairs, and then when you get downstairs, you find out that it's upstairs, or there's an announcement that you can't quite make out what they're saying, and finally you just give up and wait for the next train to come in. And that's even with having the living map and the M map and everything else, which is supposed to tell you where the trains are. So, and it's especially, Stuart, thank you for backing up us LexLine riders with your experience.
But it's something I think, there's an opportunity for...
It's the live map, not the living map, but that's okay.
It wasn't a lot.
Oh, whatever, it's not. It's kind of the half-conscious map.
But I think, I think it's our duty to advocate for additional clarity, surely for that station or others where they
At
use
86th Street,
symbols that are not standard.
the electronic sign is actually right by the staircase, so the arrow going down makes sense there.
I was positioned by the up escalator,
Yep.
and there wasn't any stairway nearby for going down.
Andrew, stop trying to make excuses. And I think Sharon will back me up. And Stuart, if you add your voice to ours, because I can't tell you how many times I've talked about the non-clarity, let me put it that way, on information for the 4, 5, and 6. And it takes.
We're not going to revisit that now.
Okay.
We've got speakers we have to get ready for.
Excuse me, Andrew?
This is Karen.
Yeah, Karen, sorry.
Okay, I was gonna let Karen go.
You have okay, I don't know. Didn't see
So,
your hand.
I'm on the phone, so that's why I'm not part of Zoom.
Okay.
I have a question about some of the proposed subway expansions that were mentioned in the 4th Regional Plan, and just curious as to if there's been any movement, for example, areas in central Northeast Queens, extensions to southeastern Brooklyn, and there have been some others not included in those plans, but it really struck me at the last week's meeting when we saw the various subway maps, especially the one that was more geographically correct. You could really see those transit deserts, and I'm happy about the 2nd Avenue extension in Manhattan. In the boroughs, there are still areas that even with the expansion of Freedom Ticket or the City Ticket, they're still relying on long bus rides to the subway. And we really should be advocating for, greater subway extensions into those areas.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything lately except that there has still been talk about a Utica Avenue subway extension down to serve parts of southeast Brooklyn, and we have spoken to Senator Schumer's office, and we have told him the better route would be to extend the Nostrand Avenue line down Flatbush Avenue to Kings Plaza, which would serve so many non-subway areas, and as well as give an important destination for a lot of Brooklyn to get right on a train to a huge shopping mall, and it would serve Bergen Beach, Mill Basin,
Marine Park.
Yeah, Marine Park. I mean,
Right.
Outside of Brazen and Sheepshead Bay,
and it would not interfere with the daily operation of the current line, which an extension down from Utica Avenue would, as former chair has said many times.
I also, Karen, I also understand that that the MTA is undertaking a study at the request of RPA, and that is going well, but there's not any completion of it yet, but hopefully soon. So,
and I would also like to see Southeast Queens brought back into the mix, because there's still people that can't get to the railroad, and it's a wide area that's just under, and I know that there's portions of just Eastern Queens in general is just woefully underserved by subway. Okay.
I think that they're looking both at the Triborough RX from RTA, but they're also looking at, and I don't know what the name of it is, but the connection between the abandoned. Thank you.
Yeah. And that Triborough RX, yeah.
Between what? I'm sorry?
The Queens Rail
Which
and
is
the Triborough RX.
And a little bit of people along our railroad.
Between Woodside and down by.
Right, that's using an existing, but unused, Long Island Railroad line that some people want to make into the next High Line. Some people want to
Yeah.
react as,
Yeah, and there's a Queens link that had been mentioned too.
right, Queens Lane, yeah.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a Queens Link that was also supposed to be near the end line on the outside next to the sea beach, because there was a proposal showing that map.
Yeah, that's the route of the old New York connecting railway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one.
From Bay Ridge all the way up through
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hills and up into
Yeah.
Queens and,
But,
and over
Andrew,
the, yeah.
Andrew, I have two questions regarding the
But
extension.
hold on,
Oh, sorry.
Karen, so there are still, those studies are still
Yeah.
underway. The one with the Triborough RX is still, from what I understand, is coming close to having a report come out. The other is, there's politics, amazingly, involved in that, I know, and.
Politics?
Yeah, the one with the black.
And the disagreement over the cost of what it would take, to do. So there were some candidates who ran for Queensborough president, as you may recall, who wanted, that line to be reactivated, and someone wanted to turn into a park. So I would say that, that fight is still continuing. We do have our guests.
Yeah, I want to be quick on the old business piece, because it answers.
Thank you.
You can always revisit it. And but it's 1 o'clock, and we have our people
Yeah, it is one.
who are here. Mr. had his hand up. Christopher, though, has his question. So does Sharon, but we also have, Kate, do we have both of our presenters?
I believe so. Carl, do you have Sheila there with you?
Yeah, Sheila's on the line. Her voice capabilities and video capabilities not there, but she is on the line.
Okay, Sheila, are you iPhone 11?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, well,
I'm going to allow for screen share.
yeah, we're gonna share
And
the
this is
screen.
gonna take us a minute to, do the calculation.
We'll get back to
How
everyone's
make this happen
questions
here.
after, we promise. We just, our speakers have a time constraint, so.
Okay, once you share your screen, okay, then we can. There we go.
There we go, great. And thank you so much for joining us today, and stepping in for Tony.
Yes, good, nice pivot, we appreciate it.
No problem. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
And everybody can see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sheila Hudson, District Customer Service Manager. And we also have Carl Labasi from Senior Director. This afternoon, both of us from the Department of Subways Division of Station Operations Environment. This afternoon, Carl and I will be providing you with an overview of our cleaning operation that takes place on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis within the boroughs of Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, and Queens. This is a broad overview, so we ask that you please hold all questions to the end of this presentation for us to be able to answer any questions you may have. You can move to the next screen. The New York City subway system is comprised of 472 stations. 281 of them are underground stations, and we have 191 that are elevated. We are responsible for the daily cleaning of 16.2 million square feet of cleaning surface. Let me say again, it is 16.2 million square feet of cleaning surface. Not certain who else does this Herculean effort, but this is done by the men and women within station environment and operation, each and every day, around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have 97 managers, 357 station supervisors, and approximately 1,645 station cleaners. A total of 2,099 dedicated employees working to provide a clean environment and a positive customer experience. Our most valuable asset in our team is the station cleaner. They are responsible for routine station cleaning and disinfecting of surfaces, power washing and sanitizing of our stations, cleaning of platforms and mezzanine tile floor surfaces with power-driven scrubber machines, garbage removal via trains and trucks, and tactile cleaning of walls. And also, we have our cleaning personnel who are assigned to snow and ice removal during inclement weather. I would also like to include that since the pandemic, disinfecting of select stations are also performed by specified contractors. The largest portion of our cleaning forces are assigned to routine station cleaning at 472 stations. These men and women work around the clock on the AM, PM, and midnight tours, performing the following tasks. They sweep down all street stairways, they scrap platforms, we empty trash receptacles, the cleaning of all AFC equipment, such as the turnstiles, omni readers, and MetroCard vending machines, cleaning of our elevators and escalators, cleaning of tile surfaces, graffiti removal, cleaning up of spills and water conditions, cleaning and disinfecting of biohazardous waste, and addressing, once again, inclement conditions such as snow and ice. As you can see, we have a few pictures of our station cleaners hard at work. Believe it or not, these cleaners also provide customer information as well as assist customers during emergency situations. In addition to their regular duties since the pandemic, our station cleaners have also taken on new responsibilities of disinfecting of public-facing areas twice a day. A few of these items which are disinfected are our elevators, escalators, help point intercoms, all handrails, exit gates, turnstiles, including the validators, MetroCard vending machines, and our benches. Carl?
Yes, thank you, Sheila. I'm going to be speaking briefly about our specialized cleaning unit, and that comes out of Quay Street Depot. The specialized cleaning unit is made up of 3 distinct areas: mobile wash, track tile, and refuse. As you can see, we have pictures of our specialty cleaning forces who work during the overnight hours when the city should be sleeping. Pictures show our track tile unit on this slide, mobile wash truck at Quay Street Depot, and then one of our hardworking station cleaners who's scrubbing the platform. The cleaning personnel assigned to mobile wash are responsible for the deep cleaning and sanitizing of about 281 underground stations on a scheduled routine. It should be noted in the warmer months, all elevated stations are also scheduled for cleaning. This unit uses over 70 vehicles to stream hot pressurized water for deep cleaning and sanitizing purposes. They also hit hard to reach areas and platforms, mezzanines. They clean our station overheads on the platforms, and most importantly, our ADA tactile. Speaking of our refuse department, they move garbage similar in a way that Department of Sanitation would. Not only though do we use garbage trucks, but we also use refuse trains, which you can see an example of the refuse train there and the inserts going into it. They work primarily on the night tour. We have a fleet of 11 garbage trucks and 11 refuse trains, and remove refuse from subway stations, 472 subway stations on a daily basis. And that, I believe, is all we have to speak about the presentation. We'd like to take an opportunity to indicate that the vital function of keeping New York City transit system clean could not be done without the dedicated employees of Station Environment Operations. And thank you. And we'll take any questions you have at this time.
Questions?
Andrew?
Stuart.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. It's a 2-part question. During COVID, have you had any staffing issues in any of the categories? And how do you evaluate the station cleaners and their effectiveness? Because I did know that
so I'll speak to the first part of the question, and then I'll let Sheila speak to the second part. So, you know, definitely we've had staffing challenges during COVID, and we've done the best through what tools we have available to us to staff appropriately, whether that be overtime or just really trying to staff the most vital functions. As many other parts of New York City Transit, though, with the vacancies that we have, we're working really diligently to staff up to our budget levels.
We're not back there yet, is what you're saying?
No, we still have vacancies that we're actively working to fill.
Okay.
And in reference to the effectiveness, Those station supervisors and managers that I mentioned earlier in the presentation, that personnel is responsible for reviewing the employee's work, following up with that particular cleaner, he or she, letting them know exactly where their problems at. Also, we also take feedback from customers via Twitter, our CRM system. Anytime they see any issues in the system, automatically we follow up with them and also respond back to them accordingly.
Okay, thank you. But want to segue into the next question, which is
go ahead.
The schedule. So if you've had staffing issues and you do have turnover and some people that aren't performing to par, how are you? Have we deferred any stations during this period in terms of reaching that 24/7 goal? Have we had to defer things, and how are we making those decisions?
So in terms of staffing, we have a crew staffing office that receives feedback from our district customer service managers like Sheila, and then the group station managers that report to her and provide feedback on how our stations are doing. So we get real-time feedback on the situation of our stations, and based on that, we staff accordingly. If we blank a tour on a cleaning shift, we be sure to hit it the next time around and do everything that we can to be sure that all stations are receiving really good cleaning coverage with the staffing we have.
And if somebody notices a repeated place in a station that appears to not be clean, who should they tell?
In terms of that, I think we have a variety of feedback mechanisms, whether it be a forum like this, whether it be Twitter. The strategy and customer experience department is very well versed in taking complaints from the public and being able to relay them to operations so that we can see successful completion of the task.
And the last sub-question here, and then I'll yield the floor. So at any given day and time, so if I asked you right now, is there a schedule that tells me when you're doing, intensive power washing at particular stations? Is there a monthly schedule or a yearly schedule that you have, which would show the dispersion along the lines, along the 6th Avenue line, the 8th Avenue line? Do you have a schedule where you've pre-planned this?
So, I don't have it right in front of me.
But
the DCSM, who's responsible for mobile wash, there's a regular schedule that they hit those stations. If for some reason or another we don't have the staffing needs, or maybe there's a mechanical issue with the truck, it might get deferred for a day. But no, there's a regular schedule whereby we attempt to hit all those 281 stations underground and then hit the elevated stations in the warmer months.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. Questions that have been, and I wanted to add this because, and I know a lot of us seen this. We've been seeing a lot of stations that say they're being cleaned, and we do put it into the MTA complaint log and do report it to PCAC, but we have not seen stations being disinfected or cleaned because they're using it as their personal bathrooms. So is there possible that station names like, I'm going to say, Fulton Street, Atlantic Avenue, Utica Avenue on the A and C, need to be a little more clean and maybe sometimes being a little more disinfected and making sure that we're catching these people? Because lately I've been on elevators for the last this month, and it's gotten even more disgustinger and more disgustinger. And that's, I'm going to say in a nicer term. The other concern that I'm seeing also, and I think, Andrew, you can vouch with me, it's also...
Do you want to let them finish and answer your question?
Oh, okay, then that's my first question.
Right.
Okay, first question. It is a big challenge that we have and we face each and every day, dealing with conditions that you see that are created by homeless or people who are just creating situations. The minute that particular cleaner sees it, they address it, they clean it up. like Carl had mentioned earlier, we get a lot of feedback from Twitter. We get feedback from the complaint system. Once we're alerted to any particular unsanitary condition within the system, we address it immediately and respond back accordingly. It's a big challenge of trying to be faced with cleaning up unsanitary conditions, but we do an extreme job of addressing it immediately once we see it and or once we made alert of a condition.
Okay, my other question is also concerning is the platforms. There are some platforms, I know I have mentioned this maybe 3 years already. I'm gonna use one, 7th Avenue on the B&Q. I'm sorry to have to say it, but it's very grungy and very disgusting, and I don't want it. At times I have to put a hand sanitizer near my nose just not to smell 7th Avenue on the B&Q train. Because I know I put it into the log, I know I put it in with here, but I don't see anything being cleaned on the B&Q platform. And lately, and forgive me everyone, I have to say this, but I have seen four-legged things at the platform, and it's not safe for the customers. It has been brought up, this has been brought up last time at the meeting.
Dogs? No, man in the woman.
No, I'll take birds thing better, not dogs. No, at least a dog knows how to behave better, but the bottom line is that station needs to be, everything needs to be cleaned as soon as possible, because this has been brought up.
Okay, I think you made the point, Chris.
Yeah, but I'm also asking also is when you do clean that station, does anyone check it or respond to those? Because I don't see anything being done at that station.
If I might speak to your question. So station supervisors perform a weekly inspection of all stations system-wide. I will say that not all platform or mezzanine floors are created equally. I think, although I'm not positive, that 7th Avenue is a concrete floor. And, unfortunately, sometimes the concrete floors over time don't, even if they're clean per se, they may not look in amazing shape from a cleanliness perspective because they might be old. While they're stable and they're structurally good, the visual appeal may not be so good. But what I can do is speak to the DCSM for 7th Avenue and alert that person to your concerns.
Because the main thing is I'm not worried about perfect performance part of the floor, but I don't want to have to see or hear someone screaming that they saw a giant ball. And that's what I'm trying to be nice to the ladies in the room. And some men, I don't know, they can't handle it because those things are huge. But question also, the third main question is, I know when you bring the trains into the terminals, are you guys I really don't see them getting clean at the terminals, like example, the Q and the D. I know the D does not go to Coney Island right now, but I don't see it being clean even when it was going to Coney Island or 205th Street. So I hope that some of these trains are being cleaned, because I did check at 96 Street, just to add Lisa, I did check 96 and they don't either. So there are times I see them, the Q's there, but I don't see them being swept. I don't see them getting, a little wipe around. But I definitely see them getting clean more on the B's, the F's, very little on the N and W's.
Okay, so I can certainly relay your concerns. Stations is at this point not responsible for terminal car cleaning, but I can relay your concerns to a peer on car equipment.
Thank you.
Can you say who is responsible for the terminal car cleaning then?
I'm sorry, car equipment is currently responsible for terminal car cleaning.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. X.
To the speakers, do you think it's possible you could place garbage cans by the benches, where they place them on the platforms? Because I know there's some stations there were no garbage cans, so now you're forcing us to throw the garbage on the floor wherever. I was told some garbage cans were removed from some stations. Why, I don't know. That's completely backward.
So I know that there have been some initiatives in the past in terms of management of track fires and how we, stage or place garbage cans in particular. Again, we can certainly voice concerns. Did you mention a specific station that you were concerned about garbage can placement?
No, I just know that at some stations, garbage cans were removed from the platforms So therefore, you're forced to throw the garbage anywhere on the platform floor. But not as bad as Animal House, Food Fight, John Belushi, God rest his soul.
Yeah, I certainly can relay your concerns, sir, and, understandable.
I have a question. Thank you very much. And that's a tremendous amount of cleaning and trash that gets removed from the system. And that was 16.9 million every day, or 16.9 million square feet of cleaning every day.
So I'm sorry, your question about specific, you were asking about the amount of garbage or the amount of square footage of the stations?
Square footage, 16.2 million square
Yeah,
footage.
that's an approximate square footage of our stations, the public facing areas that have to be cleaned, approximately 16.2 million square foot. That's correct.
I know that during COVID and certainly continuing, there's been a major effort to keep up with the cleaning, and to maintain a level of cleanliness within the system. I don't know, if it was at the same percentage level, would you say? How much would you say more cleaning you're doing now than you were doing pre-COVID? And are you finding that there's more or less, even with decreased ridership, are you finding that there's more or less amounts of things to clean within the system?
I would just say, generally speaking, based on my experience in quality assurance, that the amount of garbage we have to pull, the amount of litter we have to clean is directly proportional to ridership. So, absolutely, as ridership goes up, you have to pull cans more frequently, you have to scrap litter more frequently. That would make sense to me.
Stuart?
Carl, I just wanted to ask a follow-up question that Lisa's question reminded me of. So you have this huge amount of square footage to address. You said to me that you have a schedule. How long does it take you to get through the schedule? So in essence, how many times during a calendar year are we power washing a particular station? Does it take you the whole year to get through every station, or are we hitting stations multiple times throughout the year?
So again, I don't have it in front of me, but based on my recollection, for the underground stations, they're on approximately a 6-week cleaning cycle. So they'll be power washed approximately every 6 weeks. We're going to do the elevated ones less frequently because of weather conditions. Those trucks are very sensitive in terms of the water freezing, but more importantly, we have cars that park under the elevated station, and if water's coming down in an environment where it could freeze, we avoid those stations in the colder weather. But to answer your question, underground stations every 6 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Carl, are you considering open cut stations as elevated stations because they're not underground?
That would be correct.
Okay. Any other questions for our guests before we? Mr. X.
It's a suggestion. There should be garbage cans in all stations. This way,
I can't imagine we don't
littering.
Don't.
Garbage cans. Maybe I'm not.
They took a lot of them out, but then they replaced a lot of them. But there are still some locations that don't have garbage cans, because they're trying to encourage people to take the garbage with them out of the station and put it in a garbage receptacle on the street.
But people don't do that.
What percentage of people are doing that?
But there's also, they also removed a lot of garbage receptacles on the street. So now you're walking around with a bag of garbage.
I'm just afraid that removal of garbage receptacles encourages people to throw things onto the track, thus causing more fires.
Yeah, correct.
Much like Animal House, Food Fight, John Belushi.
Understood. I will certainly relay your concerns regarding the placement and number of garbage cans that we do have.
I know we have new vacuum trains and all that, but let's not encourage this. Well, thank you very much for the presentation.
Andrew, I'd like a follow-up question.
It's too late, Chris.
What do you mean too late?
It's simply too late.
You better be not pulling my mask on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, there is a follow-up question, because you mentioned something, not just garbage, because Lisa, Mr. Exon has a good point. not just garbage we have to worry about, but elevators are filling up with garbage as well. At Barre Lafayette, West 4th Street. But also, once they come off the bridge on DeKalb Avenue, it has gotten more disgusting because we have been hearing elevator DeKalb Avenue going out a lot because people are throwing garbage down that elevator thing on the street level. And then I can tell you, it's still not right. And I hope we can get those elevators cleaned. And I know it's been fixed, but we got to keep them clean more thoroughly in all the boroughs, from all 5 boroughs, because we need to have an elevators that are smelling good, but at the same time, not just from the not inside the car itself, but outside. Like when we see a lot of dust piling up, they need to get clean. I
think we've made that point many times today.
No, not inside the car itself. Outside of the car, like when the elevator goes up, where those windows are, those should be cleaned more. I don't see that.
Correct. We'll relay your information, but the station cleaner himself, he or she does address inside and outside of that elevator cab on a daily basis. But we will relay all your concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Have a great holiday.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank
You too.
We had to stop some questions. I believe you had your hand up, Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon.
Just while we're talking about improvement and changes, it would be so nice to have an alternative to Port Authority somewhere in the Bronx, so that all of those buses don't have to come all the way down 8th Avenue, and you could in fact get off somewhere in the Bronx and take a subway or a train into town. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I mean, there is an uptown bus terminal, but it's not for the buses you're talking about.
Yeah, but there should be somewhere where they can just get rid of people high up so that that would decrease the
I have a
traffic.
feeling that would not be popular for folks that are coming to places either close to Midtown or like to a Grand Central or Penn Station
You have
to
so much
take a train to go.
faster if you take the train.
What if you have luggage or something? I mean,
It doesn't matter, and you don't have enough luggage on the bus. And
I don't know, I live by the Port Authority, there are people with a lot of luggage, because that's the way
Yeah.
that people travel.
well,
Especially on that ramp.
I'm talking about the mega bus, Lucky Star bus, all of those buses, those people don't have.
I use
that.
local streets, I know.
And it takes you an extra hour to get down 8th Avenue, to say nothing about it.
Well, I hope you're not going down 8th Avenue. That would really be murderous.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Whatever it is, they go on 5th Avenue and then they cross over and.
We're going back into the 1920s.
We are, yes.
Yeah, that's 100 years ago.
No, I know what Sharon.
I think
I know.
that they're looking at an alternate depot for those buses as they rebuild the Port Authority, facility, but it won't be uptown, it will be further west.
And further, for what Sharon is suggesting, it wouldn't be the end of the bus run, it would be another terminal where you could get off if your destination was in that area. But I don't know that you would stop the bus from going to its Midtown, because I think that's where the majority is.
Okay, but even then.
Yeah, that would help. That would help.
Old
Mr. X.
Gun old business, 7/21 board meeting. I was unaware it was scheduled to be held live. According to the website, it was scheduled to be held remotely, and then later I discovered it was scheduled to be held live. Okay?
I think that was the first day that they went live,
Okay,
right?
so I'm saying, he should have told us what was happening. He didn't tell me anything. And to keep remind you, that was after he sent to me because he felt my comments about his predecessors were disgusting. I don't appreciate that.
Who are we talking about?
You know who I'm mentioning.
I don't, I'm
He
sorry.
said my comments about his predecessors were disgusting. Take a wild guess. Criticize me because my comments about his predecessors were disgusting, and then he holds a board meeting live, but doesn't bother to tell us. On the website, he indicated it was scheduled to be held remotely, and then later I heard it was scheduled to be held live. So there's no way I could have testified. Lisa testified on how she knew it was scheduled live. I didn't know it was scheduled to be held live. He didn't tell everyone.
I think if I found out it was because it was either went on the website or got the press release.
Okay. I didn't see it on the website. I got no notification about him holding it live. That's what,
That was the first
okay.
day.
Well, it's still disturbing, unfair to me, that's selfish, and I don't appreciate that. He should have sent me an email stating it was scheduled to held live or remotely.
I think, and this is like a whole lifetime ago, almost, it feels like.
It was earlier this year.
I understand that, but so many things have happened. I think that was the first meeting that they let the press back in. I don't think I testified live in that room.
Oh, yes, you did.
Okay,
I saw on YouTube.
That might have been on video, but if it was.
No, you were in that room.
Oh.
And I saw on YouTube.
Okay, and that was the first one, but that was at the last minute.
Well, that was then, this is now.
He should have been saying, he should have told us what was happening, and he didn't do
Well,
that.
they put out the information on public channels, that's how I find out about it, I do not have a.
Okay, well, I'm saying, he could have mentioned on the website, he could have sent us an email letter, those who have an email account, no. He just didn't care one way or the other. And like I said, he was the same individual who sent to me because he felt my comments by his predecessor were disgusting. He was the same individual who made a racist remark to Anthony Turner, a.k.a. Tony Turner, let's say George Steinbrenner.
Well, we can't do anything about what other people do. Sorry.
That's
my whole business for you.
Stuart.
I just want to deconstruct with the presentation. I mean, it was informative, but I'm not satisfied with the response to the questions that we have. We're not talking about visual appeal of cement stations. There's definitely, I think we need to follow up with Kate in terms of, okay, we understand that getting the ridership back, there's a perception of a lack of cleanliness, whether it's train car washing handled by others, or whether it's station cleaning that they discussed. But then the heavy-duty cleaning, if they're not meeting the cycle 6 times, and that's apparent, just based on visual observation, what are they doing? And if you look at the dispersion across lines, if they're having staffing issues on particular lines, this was an issue that came up years ago when we had their predecessors, the inability to take people who showed up at one station because of union work rules and transfer them to another station that was getting heavy-duty cleaning. With these limitations, if they still exist, or staffing limitations, what are they doing? Because the perception is the subway is still a dirty place. Fulton Street has regressed since we had our discussion.
Now, what part of that complex are you referring to when you say Fulton Street?
The mezzanine and the station platform.
All the way from William Street
the William
to Broadway?
Street and the
William Street.
Broadway end is spotless. It's maintained by a different crew. It's not the transit authority staff.
Okay.
It's the mall staff.
Mall staff.
Yeah, we're talking about the William Street end. But that's just one. I mean, I'm not fixated on that stage.
You frequently use that area. You've noticed this, so just multiply that by all the other places that are undergoing
I could mention
similar
other stations
circumstances.
as well, but I'm just talking in a broad brushstroke way.
Let me just add that when I mentioned new accessible stations, I just got an email from Q who sent me the complete list, and new accessibility at 14th Street on the 123, 14th Street on the F&M, and 6th Avenue on the L should also be considered, because
Andrew, it's on the press release.
That's great. Yep.
Andrew, just to add, I got that email last night, but regarding that station, because
What station?
14th Street on 6th and 7th Avenue, it is on the list, but what happened was it had to be a board approved, according to what they said, which it was. Because,
quite a while ago, actually.
Yeah, because there was a link piece they wanted to communicate was the PATH train. It's linked to the PATH train at 6th Avenue. So there was a discussion. The question I don't know yet, unless I got an answer from Q later today, if PATH train does work with us, that's going to give us a little more money and a little more power boost to get a person to transfer from the FM even to the connection to if people want to take the 1, 2, and 3. So instead of going to 33rd Street, they can go to 14th Street. You think about it, it's another connection. But I am going to bring up to Q that, can we just talk?
When you say connection, are you referring to a free transfer?
Yes, free transfer.
why would path allow you?
Not a free transfer to the path. You still have to pay for the path, but at least get down to the path.
Well, one of the benefits
Well,
of
Omni,
Omni is that Cubic, the company that makes them, also makes paths, turnstiles, as well as our turnstiles, so
well, there's a discussion on that.
interchangeability is coming. Well, it won't be a free fare, however, but maybe, who knows?
Maybe a
we'll have a
transfer.
regional fare at some point, that would be wonderful.
That's something in the but
Use it on anything.
I did tell Q
Yeah.
that we need to talk about 59th Street and Lex because, and I will say this for the record, we need to do support letters on that station, all the way up, for every elected official.
On which station?
59th Street and Lex.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I need support letters. If other stations can get it, why can't 59th Street get it?
Let me find out where on the roster of in the next groups, after the group that I just mentioned, it stands. Let me find out.
Kate and I were talking about maybe, seeing if Q was available in January, possibly, no problem.
Okay.
What's the time frame?
Rachel.
It's a very tricky configuration.
That varies by station. Unfortunately, they're not all equal, and,
So how far out are we?
you know,
They're 1 year
2
behind.
years, yeah, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, they-
Direct?
Okay. Regarding accessible stations, you didn't mention 170th Street via the 4 train, that station will become wheelchair accessible. You didn't mention 179th Street Tremont via the B and D trains.
Which one? Tremont Avenue?
179th Street Tremont via the B and D trains. I don't think you mentioned Moses College, which is served by 2, 4, and 5 trains. Also, 14th Street, there's a passageway on that street between 7th and 8th Avenues. It's now closed. The first time it was closed 29 years ago this month. They need to reopen that passageway. It's just common sense.
That's not on those aren't on the list. Those must have been announced previously.
Okay, well, it's up to the current MTA head to put them on the list. If he doesn't want to be bothered, he can throw in the towel like Paula Sculler, which we did for Bob Baxter at Masquerade many years ago.
Michael?
I was thinking that Grand Central on the 4, 5, and 6 line needs these newer elevators. Those elevators gotta be replaced. Because it's old and it smells.
No, it takes forever.
That one's supposed to be replaced soon once they open the other one.
Any other items of old business before we move to new business?
Andy, that's one for you, okay? Sometimes I'd like to share with you.
You mean Andrew?
Andrew, Columbus Circle Station.
Oh, I thought you were pointing to the screen.
No, I'm pointing to you. Columbus Circle Station. There should be an elevator ramp connecting from the Uptown 1 train to the downtown A, B, C, and D trains.
Agree. Yeah, it's on the
Would be
stairway.
nice.
Would be nice.
I agree.
Columbus Circle.
Columbus Circle, that only the uptown, if you're getting off the AB, let's say if you're getting off a B train, and you want to go from an Uptown 1 train, it's only one elevator for the Uptown platform. If I want to get off the 1 train, and let's say I want to go home back to Brooklyn, I can't. I have to go down and Uptown, go to another elevator, go up and down. By then, I could be already at Times Square or somewhere else. It's the way they
But if you want to go to home, why would you want to go to Times Square?
Means another way to get home is to use the Q train.
That's a ridiculous reroute.
Well, don't look at me. Go tell whoever built the elevator at 59th Street Columbus Circle. And fix the hump too when they
We're
add
going to
it.
move on to new business.
I had old business I wasn't finished.
Sharon? No, I thought you raised your hand.
Always, well, I did raise it.
Marisol's talking, so I thought she was raising her hand. But
Yeah, I know. Me too. She's throwing me off.
I'm pleased that we have policemen in the station. I would be grateful if they were on the platforms or near the entrances and exits where they can actually be functional. And I would like to request or suggest that when either we politely mention that to them, I did do that on my way here today, or at least report that so that somehow there might be a change of assignment or procedure or whatever, so that when they are assigned to stations, they're told to do that. Because what they do is congregate in the middle of nowhere and work on their cell phone.
That's actually something that Jano has raised a number of times. He gets, every time he speaks about it, he's increasingly frustrated. But he talked about it yesterday. He's talked about it publicly a number of times. And
well, if we report it,
I mean, I've seen them on platforms and on trains, but not in numbers that I would feel really comfortable about. But I have seen some.
Well, I think in 3 weeks, we'll have a new everything.
We will.
And there might be a new everything, so.
I like the song.
Did you remember
Everything.
voting for everything, Sharon?
Yeah, I even voted for you, Andrew.
All right, new business.
I do have a very breaking good news.
Is this a question or?
No, we should be also celebrating, because you heard yesterday that City Council did vote for the code name for Edith Prentice was passed.
Code name?
Code name?
No, I meant, station name or street naming. Street naming, thank you, Andrew. Street naming of Edith Prentice. Never they had to vote for City Council yesterday.
Thank you.
As you said it earlier, so I'm copying your words.
I didn't say yesterday.
You just said it now again, so don't worry. It was passed, it was fully maximum passed. No no's,
Well, we helped get the elevator,
So when
named
is,
for
what
Edith.
street and when is the street name?
I don't know, that's the only question we're all waiting for. So,
Council, so we're not gonna.
Not yet.
Because it'll be, my guess is it'll probably be in spring, maybe.
On our anniversary day?
All the sign has to be generated and everything.
Yeah, the DOT has to make up a
They
sign.
can do that in a week,
They can.
and they could hold the ceremony before anybody's out of office, so.
Well,
It's
I don't
theoretical
see
to
it
do.
happening that
it's
way.
not gonna happen, Lisa, we all know that. And the one thing is now, that's one good news that.
I would just ask this, so there's been, a history of us finding things out related to, ceremonial events related to Edith, either after they've been planned or after they're
Yeah, I know.
supposed to happen.
Mhm.
So whoever's planning anything, please ask them to, keep us in the loop on this.
Andrew, you're my witness, Andrew Kurzweil. Because I already yelled at one certain person, I'm not saying his name.
Mr. X.
Just two things. First, the face mask and vaccination rules. Okay, yesterday, the current MTA head, was someone complaining to the MTA saying cops don't wear face masks? Okay, a while back, I complained either to the DC MTA about cops going after me because I wear face masks at some sort of station and they go to two male rights and do the same. I complained to PCAC. What they measured was, another cop approached me and I said, get the hell away from me. Because remember in Brooklyn, they assaulted that female with her son. Mayor like Rodney King is supposed to wear face masks, and the current mayor, the soon to be former mayor, said that told him to back off. So there's no need for cops to go after us because we don't wear face masks. That's nonsense. Okay, they should be more concerned about saving lives and stopping crimes. Okay? Yesterday I had to prove I was vaccinated, which today I did here. Okay? This is nonsense. Okay, first of all, okay, the current MTA head isn't a doctor who treated COVID patients, much like Saul Marcus, who looks like one half of the Heart Foundation, whom I met. Okay, he's just a schizophrenic, looks like Harrison Ford and Dave Lemon with a smaller head and a bigger nose. All right, so, and also, that's the face mask,
We're not gonna-
got to stop, okay? And also,
You're not making your point better by insulting people, Mr. X. Just tell us what you're thinking about the
just saying
face
that-
masks and the policing of such.
That nonsense has to stop, that's all I'm saying, okay? It really is, because what it say that if you don't wear a face mask and get vaccinated, that automatically means you were affected by any disease. There's no evidence that shows that. No evidence.
There's evidence that shows people that are vaccinated are less likely to get COVID.
Okay, but what I'm saying
And transmit it.
Okay, but I'm saying.
So, by wearing a mask and getting vaccinated, you're saying you care about your friends, your family, all of that.
And it's also for under the governor's,
That's also the law, of course.
Trudy has her hand raised.
This is Trudy. I pressed the raise hand button and somehow I got disconnected. So this is a question about, and I guess it's to Chris, about the Edith Prentice. Good. No, I just got something. I just got an email about something going on with Biden, which doesn't bother you guys. Anyway, but about the Edith, she would be very happy if I confused her with Joe Biden. She was a good Democrat. But anyway, if it was passed by, was it passed by the full city council or just the committee that deals with street naming? That's number one.
City council.
And number two, was it sent to the mayor, and is the mayor definitely going to sign it? Because he's been sitting on a lot of things. So
that I don't know.
Well, then, Chris, as only you can do, I would strongly suggest, because until he signs the city council's resolution, it is not the law, and nothing will happen. And we're approaching the end of the year and the end of his term.
Trudy, he's gonna be the mayor for 2 more weeks. Why are we worrying about the mayor?
Because he may not sign it. He's sitting on a number of things.
Yeah,
and if he doesn't sign this, then it has to be done all over again.
And assumedly, the folks that have sponsored this will bring it right to Mayor-elect Adams' desk.
He'll be gone.
No, what you don't understand is that the city council will have to repass the whole thing. The city council this city council goes out of existence at the same time that the mayor goes out of existence, the current mayor.
Well, I think you mean leave office as opposed to go out of existence.
I'm sorry, my choice of words are very poor.
But
I'm sorry for my poor choice of words.
Thank you.
As refers to the mayor.
They'll make sure that if not signed by New Year's Eve, that it gets put on the front burner for the next city council. We know city council
yeah,
members.
but let's see if we can get it signed now.
Any other items of new business?
Andrew, tomorrow is Mass Force. Does anyone know if they're going to be volunteering tomorrow for Mass Force? To be truthful? It's all over the borough. Lisa, Lisa, you're in the DL, so no, I'm
on the
thinking.
LTDL.
Yeah.
DL means you're in the disabled list, but how about some,
I assume it's in several places as
one is in,
Mass.
2 in Brooklyn, now they're increasing in Manhattan, one is at Coney Island, one is in Atlantic, which so far we have high numbers there, thank God. But we still need to get Queens, that's 74th Street, Staten Island, Scott, if he's still there, I don't know, they still have openings there. And there's one spot got full, but we still need people to, let's do our part, just do our best I can. Because the kids' mask needs to be definitely increased. So Kathy, if you're there still with us, we need kids' masks on all boot stations to make sure the kids are getting, because they've been asking for those masks. Especially those masks are more comfortable. Kate's right there. I can see her. I can see her as she's waving, so I know she's there. I can sense her smiling from here.
You moved away from the center square.
Mask.
And she's writing it down. So if anyone on that screen there, please register for Mass Force.
So Chris, I'll pass it on. I don't know that we'll be able to procure children's masks in the next 12 hours, but I'll certainly let the team know about your request.
I'm not asking for 12 hours. I'm just asking.
I meant for tomorrow's event. Like, I'm not sure what the stock is, but I'll pass your note along.
Yeah, just ask them to put it in more to the booths, because that's where the kids are looking for too.
Anybody else with any?
No.
Well, I want to wish everybody a wonderful holiday and Happy New Year, and let's hope 2022 is a great year for transit riders. Stay healthy.
Happy holidays. Take care.
Happy holidays to everybody.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Happy holidays to all.
Happy holidays, Shirley. I already sent you your gift already on the email.
Thanks.